The text arrived at 9:47 a.m. on a Tuesday. My brother Marcus had posted photos of my lake house, the one I'd purchased alone 3 years ago with my inheritance from Grandpa Chin, calling it Classic Family Retreat, $850,000. The family chat exploded with congratulations. Mom, finally being reasonable about shared assets. Dad, about time you stopped hoarding family property. Sister Nicole, can't wait to see my share, already picking out my new car. They'd discussed this property for months. Every holiday, every birthday, the same script. Grandpa meant it for all of us. You're being selfish keeping it to yourself. Family means sharing. I'd shown them the will. Shown them the deed. Shown them the property tax bills I paid alone. Individual inheritance, not marital property, not family asset, the estate attorney had explained in writing. They'd called it semantics. Now Marcus had taken action. Listed my property. Scheduled showings. Hired his friend Derek as the listing agent. I didn't call. Didn't argue. I forwarded the Zillow link to my property attorney Sarah Mitchell with one line, "Not authorized. Please advise." Her response came in 4 minutes. On it. Don't engage. The psychological concept came to me clearly. Delusional ownership syndrome. When people want something badly enough, they reconstruct reality until the desired outcome feels like truth. Marcus didn't just want my lake house. He'd convinced himself it was already his to sell. The first showing was scheduled for 2 p.m. that day. By 11 a.m., Sarah had filed an emergency cease and desist with the county recorder's office and contacted Zillow's verification team directly. Zillow's automated title verification system runs checks within 24 hours of premium listings. 4 properties over $500,000, they cross-reference county records, title insurance databases and mortgage documentation. Marcus's listing hit every red flag. The property owner of record, Jessica Chin Me. The listing agents claimed authority, family representative with verbal authorization. The contact information, Marcus's cell phone, not mine. At 1:15 p.m., Derek the realtor called Marcus. The family group chat lit up with his panicked messages. Zillow flagged the listing. Need proof of ownership or power of attorney. They're threatening to suspend my account. Marcus responded confidently, family property. I'll send documentation. He had no documentation. What he had was a family photo from Thanksgiving 2019 at the lake house, showing all of us on the dock. He submitted it to Zillow as proof of shared ownership. The Zillow verification specialist who reviewed his submission would later include this exchange in her formal report. Submitter provided photograph of multiple people at property. When asked for deed, title, or legal documentation, submitter stated, "We're all in the photo. That's the documentation." At 1:47 p.m., Zillow suspended the listing pending ownership verification. At 2:03 p.m., 3 potential buyers arrived for the scheduled showing. Derek, desperate to salvage something, proceeded with the tour despite having no keys and no authorization. I'd been tracking this remotely through my property's security system. 8 cameras, motion sensors, full coverage. I watched Derek try the front door, fail, then lead the buyers around the exterior, gesturing at windows and explaining the layout through glass. My attorney called Derek directly at 2:11 p.m. The conversation was brief. "You are currently trespassing on my client's property with unauthorized third parties. You have 90 seconds to vacate before I contact law enforcement." The security camera caught Derek's face going from confident to white. He ushered the buyers off the property in 40 seconds. The ghost ledger of this moment wasn't financial, it was dignity. 3 years of family gatherings where they'd treated my inheritance like theft. Birthday dinners where they'd joked about breaking in and changing the locks. Christmas Eve when Mom had suggested they pool resources to buy me out at 30% of market value, since family should get a discount. Every time I'd driven the 2 hours to the lake house alone. Every time I'd paid the $3,200 quarterly property tax while they suggested I was hoarding a resource they deserved access to. Every time they'd showed up uninvited and acted wounded when I asked them to leave. The cost wasn't the money. It was the constant assault on reality. The way they'd gaslight me about a clear legal document, about explicit inheritance terms, about the definition of sole ownership. At 2:45 p.m., Zillow's verification system completed its cross-check with county records. The automated system doesn't just flag discrepancies. It creates a permanent record in the agent's compliance file. Derek's profile now showed, listing suspended, ownership verification failed. For a realtor, this is the professional equivalent of a black mark. Every future client would see that flag when they searched his license number. At 3:30 p.m., Sarah received a call from Derek's broker, Linda Shaw. "We need to discuss this situation with the Chin property. My agent received authorization from..." Sarah cut her off. "Your agent received no authorization. Your agent listed a property he had no legal connection to, based on a family member's verbal claim. That family member also has no legal connection to the property. This isn't a paperwork issue. This is fraud." The legal term felt stark. Fraud. Not a mistake. Not a misunderstanding. Linda Shaw's tone shifted from defensive to professional survival mode. "We're conducting an internal investigation. The listing has been removed. Derek will issue a formal apology." "Not interested in apologies," Sarah responded. "I'm interested in understanding how your brokerage allowed this listing to go live without verifying the most basic element, the seller's legal right to sell. That question would matter. Real estate law requires agents to verify ownership. A realtor who lists property without authorization isn't just making an error. They're potentially committing a crime." At 4:15 p.m. the family group chat erupted again. Marcus had been contacted by both Zillow and Linda Shaw. His messages devolved from confident to frantic. "This is a misunderstanding. Family property means family listing rights. Jessica, call off your lawyer. You're embarrassing us. Derek could lose his license over this. Over family." Mom joined in. "You're destroying your brother's friend's career over property that should be shared anyway." I muted the chat and drafted a single response that Sarah reviewed before I sent it. "The property at 4782 Lakeview Drive is owned solely by me, as documented in county records, the probate decree and 3 years of property tax payments. It was never listed for sale. Any attempt to show, list, or transfer this property without my written authorization is illegal. All future communication regarding this matter should go through my attorney, Sarah Mitchell, at the contact information below." I sent it at 4:47 p.m. and left the group chat. The procedural justice that followed had a methodical beauty. Sarah filed a formal complaint with the State Real Estate Commission. The complaint detailed unauthorized listing, false claims of authority, proceeding with showings after suspension, trespassing with clients. The investigation took 8 weeks. During that time, Derek's brokerage placed him on unpaid administrative leave pending the outcome. Linda Shaw had no choice. The liability was too clear. Marcus received a cease and desist letter formally prohibiting any future claims about the property. He signed it after his own attorney advised him that the alternative was a civil suit for slander of title, a legal claim that can result in punitive damages when someone falsely claims ownership of property they don't own. The family group chat continued without me. Nicole screenshot portions and sent them to mutual friends, trying to paint me as the villain. "She's keeping family property from her own siblings." 3 friends called me. "We saw the deed. We saw the probate records. What is she talking about?" That's when the social consequences calcified. When Nicole's friends asked her to produce documentation and she couldn't. When Dad's brother, Uncle James, who'd helped Grandpa Chin draft the will, publicly stated at a family gathering, the lake house was explicitly for Jessica. Individual inheritance. That was Chen's clear intent. The family fractured along truth lines. Those who'd seen the documents. Those who'd preferred the fantasy. At the conclusion of the Real Estate Commission investigation, Derek received a formal reprimand and mandatory continuing education on ethical listing practices. The reprimand became part of his permanent license record, visible to anyone searching his name. His brokerage terminated his contract. Linda Shaw's note was professional but final. "Trust is essential in this industry. You violated that trust." Marcus never apologized. Neither did Mom or Dad. Nicole sent one text 3 months later. "Hope you're happy. You destroyed Derek's career over a house." I didn't respond. 6 months after the listing incident, I drove to the lake house on a Friday afternoon. I'd installed a new security system, Better cameras, coded entry, alerts sent to my phone whenever anyone approached the property line. I sat on the dock where that Thanksgiving photo had been taken. The one Marcus had submitted to Zillow as documentation. We'd all been smiling. We'd all seemed like family. But family isn't who smiles in photos. Family is who respects your legal right to own what's legally yours. Who doesn't commit fraud and call it sharing. Who doesn't treat your inheritance as their entitlement. The water lapped against the dock posts. The sun dropped toward the tree line. My phone had 17 unread messages from various family members. I'd never unmuted the chat. I deleted the entire thread without reading it. There's a concept in property law called adverse possession. When someone occupies your property long enough, they can claim legal ownership. My family had tried a version of this. Emotional adverse possession. If they insisted loudly enough, repeatedly enough that the lake house was family property, maybe reality would bend. But reality doesn't bend to want. It bends to documentation. The deed said Jessica Chin. The title said Jessica Chin. The tax bills said Jessica Chin. And that's exactly who sat on the dock that evening in the property she owned, alone and unbothered by people who'd confused blood relation with property rights. The sunset was beautiful. I didn't share the photo.